Across rural India, people tell stories of a man who wanders the forests. He doesn't stop to sleep, he doesn't eat, he simply walks. These accounts are tied to specific geographic coordinates, like the ancient Asirgarh fort in Madhya Pradesh. Guards and villagers in the area report a strange recurring event. Every single morning, before sunrise, an unknown figure leaves fresh flowers at the old Shiva temple inside the fortress walls. Every account, whether from a century ago or last year, shares the same physical description: a man with a deep, perpetually bleeding wound in the center of his forehead. He approaches isolated villages in the dark, asking for only two things: turmeric and sesame oil. According to millions of people, this is a living man serving an active sentence. This is the legend of Ashwatthama, an ancient warrior condemned to an eternity of physical and psychological suffering. This diagram represents the Chiranjeevis, 7 figures granted eternal life. For 6, this endless life is a divine reward, serving a higher purpose. But Ashwatthama is the anomaly. His eternal life is a brutal, inescapable punishment. What horrific act could a divinely gifted warrior commit to turn the ultimate gift of immortality into a sentence of eternal agony? The answer lies at the bitter end of the Kurukshetra war. The Kaurava army is completely annihilated. Ashwatthama, fighting on the losing side, is left psychologically broken after witnessing the deceitful, unarmed execution of his own father, the great teacher Dronacharya. Hiding in the forest, exhausted and consumed by grief, he observes something that breaks his final moral barrier. He watches a silent owl glide into the trees and assassinate an entire flock of sleeping crows, one by one, without a single fight. He takes this as a divine sign. Abandoning the ancient rules of honorable combat, the dharma he was raised to uphold, Ashwatthama infiltrates the victorious Pandava camp in the dead of night to slaughter defenseless, sleeping soldiers. Moving through the pitch-black tents, he searches for the Pandava leaders. Finding 5 figures asleep, he raises his weapon and executes them. But he misidentifies his targets. He slaughters the 5 innocent, sleeping sons of Draupadi. That night completely broke the ancient warrior's code. He entered the camp as a grieving son seeking justice for his father. He left it as the architect of a massacre. When the Pandavas discover the gruesome scene, they hunt him down. Arjuna and Krishna finally corner Ashwatthama at an isolated riverbank. He has no conventional weapons left, and surrendering is a fate he flatly refuses to accept. Out of sheer desperation, he reaches down and plucks a single blade of grass from the dirt. He charges it with the mantra of the Brahmastra, an apocalyptic cosmic weapon capable of ending creation itself. This schematic of the weapon's mechanics highlights the critical flaw in Ashwatthama's power. Arjuna could deploy and recall this energy, but Dronacharya intentionally withheld the recall sequence from his son, fearing Ashwatthama's rage was too volatile. Unable to take the weapon back and facing Arjuna's massive counterstrike, Ashwatthama has to redirect the blast. He chooses the most devastating target imaginable, the womb of Uttara, aiming to exterminate the final unborn heir of the Kuru bloodline. Handing a weapon of absolute cosmic destruction to an emotionally shattered soldier without a failsafe guarantees only one outcome: total devastation. The blast never hits the child. Krishna, who rarely intervenes directly, uses his own divine power to shield the womb, keeping the bloodline alive. Then Krishna approaches the defeated warrior. He doesn't yell. Instead, he issues a quiet, devastating judgment. He violently pries the protective mani, a divine, life-giving gem, straight from the center of Ashwatthama's forehead. Ripping away that gem leaves a gaping, festering wound that will ooze blood and pus forever. Krishna declares that Ashwatthama will live until the end of the age, roaming the earth completely alone, denied shelter and denied the release of death. This punishment is the mechanical consequence of his own actions. The rotting wound on his head physically mirrors the moral decay that had already taken over his soul. Ashwatthama was a master of divine weaponry, but he wasn't defeated by Arjuna's arrows. He was dismantled by his own inability to manage his profound grief and consuming rage. When a gifted person strips away their internal compass of righteousness and compassion, giving them eternal life is just giving them an eternity of regret. Which brings us back to the forests of Madhya Pradesh. If you were wandering near an old fort at dusk, and a tireless man emerged from the shadows, asking for oil for a wound that will never heal, would you recognize him? The tragedy of the seventh immortal lives outside the pages of ancient texts. It is a sentence still being served on earth today, waiting for an end that may never come.